in the Marine Corps, I learned pretty quick that if you look at everything that comes down the pike as just being a minor inconvenience, you could get over it. It's like tricking yourself. Like, oh, there's no plumbing. It's a minor inconvenience. There's nowhere to sleep. It's a minor inconvenience. They're shooting at you. It's a minor inconvenience. Don't worry about it. Right. So that's kind of like, my fallback. If I ever just look at everything as a minor inconvenience, you kind of trick yourself into just moving past it.
Welcome to the Leader's Mindset, where we bring you conversations with leaders who are making an impact in business and our communities. Today, my guest is Andrew Wittman. He's the author of Inner Armor, Perpetual Resilience, and has served as a U.S. Marine combat veteran, special agent for the U.S. Capitol Police, and a private contractor for the U.S. State Department. And if you know what that means, if you know, you know. Now he teaches people just like you and me to train our resilience like a muscle through habits, not theories. Thanks for joining us today, Andrew.
Thanks so much for having me, Jason. I'm so stoked to be here, man.
I know, I'm really excited. We got to talk a little bit a couple weeks ago, and I'm really excited to share what I learned about you and your experience and what you have to offer to everyone in our audience. And with a background like yours, it's really tough to figure out where to start. So let's just get into, how did you get interested in resilience and helping other people build it?
Yeah, so, this is my origin story, right? The spider bit me and it was radio. No, that's not what happened. I was the fat kid in high school and I got bullied a lot. And my mom and dad were missionaries, so I wasn't allowed to fight back. So I was always living in fear and anxiety. And I fell in with these two guys in Australia. I was brought up in this town called Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. And these two guys, they were into the military culture, the warrior culture, and they were going to go into the Royal Australian SAS. And so they introduced me to all that. And I became enamored with the Marine Corps and getting control of my machine and getting in shape and not being weak and being in fear and anxiety. And so that kind of like started the whole resilience thing, right? So I went to Marine Corps boot camp, lost 50 pounds, was 6 years in the infantry, did combat, Desert Storm. I'm dating myself, right? I'm an old guy. Republic of Panama, those things, Honduras, Philippines, counterterrorism, that kind of stuff. And then I went into law enforcement, and I was a local sheriff's deputy for a while. And then my wife she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I was like, okay, you're making most of our income, so I guess I'm going to have to go federal, right? So I put in all my applications to all the ABC soups, all of them. And the one that picked me up was one I never even heard of. I'm like, did I even apply to these guys? Like a U.S. Capitol Police. I'm like, what do you do? And they're like, first I thought, I'm like, that was Metropolitan. I'm like, I'm already a local. I was trying to be federal, so I found out they do the same thing the Secret Service does. They just do it for the House and the Senate, and they are federal. And so they asked me to the dance, and I went, and my great claim to fame there, I was the agent in charge of Nancy Pelosi's detail, and I was Joe Lieberman's lead advance, and got on some really high profile details, and then I went over to the State Department and became a contractor, like you said, and all these resilience things they just kept the whole time is everything that we do in these and you're a high stress environment guy, man. You were in Iraq too as a contractor, right? I mean, and all your time in the Air Force, these things, this warrior culture, if it's not even real stress, the warrior culture gives you fake stress so that you know how to deal with real stress, right? So I don't think there was like a choice once you enter into the slipstream, right? I mean,
yeah, I will say, because of all the fake stress that they put on us, and my time in the military I was active duty 95 to 2015. So, in the late 90s when we were doing things like Kosovo, we thought we were busy, and then global war on terror came along, and then we were really busy. But you're right, there's a lot of fake stress that they put on you, all the little queepy things that go on when you're back home in garrison. And they put this fake stress on you. Honestly, my deployments, I loved being deployed.
Right.
And yes, there was danger. I wasn't an outside the wire combat guy, but yes, it was dangerous. Yes, it was not like being at home. But the nice thing about being deployed is you have one thing to focus on. Yeah. You show up, they give you a job when you're deployed, and that's the only thing you have to focus on. So in some ways, yes, you have the stress of being in a hostile environment, but all those fake stress things are gone. So your overall baseline level of stress, I found on deployment, I can't speak for anybody else's experience. My baseline level of stress was much lower in Baghdad, Iraq, than it was back at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado.
Right, 100%, man. Because all the games we play, right? We call them the reindeer games, or you know, they all went away. But yeah, no, and they do that. There's a purpose behind it, man. Both my kids went to the Citadel, and they would call me, you know, the freshman and sophomore year, and I mean, they would change things 22 times. I call it change 22 in the Marine Corps, right? They changed things 22 times. The plan of the day, the uniform of the day. We're going to wear gloves. We're not wearing gloves. We're wearing this jacket. We're not. And they would just call. I'm like, look, dude, this part of the process. Just they're teaching you how to deal with stuff that comes up and how do I pivot and how do I adjust to that and how do I get used to and be comfortable with change, right? And that's in that crucible, really. In garrison, we think it's silly, but like you said, your stress level actually goes down. And this is one of the things I teach in my stuff. Like, you don't ever rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your default of your training. So that's what they do. They keep you all ramped up all the time. So it's harder in training. I mean, it's literally like your nose hairs aren't trimmed good enough. You got, eye boogers and, I mean, like that kind of stuff all day long while you're in garrison. And when you get down range, you were focused on the real mission. So, but that's the kind of the process of why I got into resilience. Because once you get in that slipstream, you really, if you want to survive or thrive even, you don't have a choice.
Yeah, I can certainly attest to that. And, we all hit that point when we're in the military or when you're in some kind of high stress job where they're making all those changes. They're stress testing you over and over again. And some of us just kind of go, okay, fine. I have learned to accept the things I can't control. And then some others try to exert even more control, and they typically become colonels and generals. But
I don't know about that, but maybe it's something. But no, I mean, and it kind of translates to business too. We work with a lot of EPC firms and engineering, procurement, construction, and on the construction site, there's all these change orders and stuff. You can't control the weather. You can't control the supplier didn't get the order right, or we're 3 feet short of this copper piping and all. I mean, it happens everywhere, right? In business as well. So it's just that. That's why it's this so applicable across the board. It happens in parenting. You can't control, like you just said, control what you can control, which is your response. You can't control anything external. I can't control what you think. I can't control the technology. I can't control the weather. I can't control the supply chain. I just can't control. I can't control the clock. All I can do is control my response. And that's really my journey. When in the Marine Corps, I learned pretty quick that if you look at everything that comes down the pike as just being a minor inconvenience, you could get over it. It's like tricking yourself. Like, oh, there's no plumbing. It's a minor inconvenience. There's nowhere to sleep. It's a minor inconvenience. They're shooting at you. It's a minor inconvenience. Don't worry about it, right? So that's kind of like, my fallback. If I ever just look at everything as a minor inconvenience, you kind of trick yourself into just moving past it. Does that make sense?
It's crazy, but it works. Again, from my own experience, I can tell you it's crazy, but it works. Okay, I'm going to have to ask because I know the Marines in the audience are going to ask me, and if I don't ask, I'm not going to know the answer. East Coast or West Coast Marine? Where did you do?
Paris Island, man. The only real Marine Corps. Look, San Diego, it's all freaking suntan lotion and at the beach. They're not real Marines. Give me a break.
That's what I understand. I was not a Marine. I can't speak to that, but I know there are several Marines I know personally who will ask me whether you were where you did boot camp. So.
We love all of them, and I'll tell you that. And the longer you go, I mean, the Marine Corps is a small community, but so is the veteran community or even active duty. And when I went to the State Department, I really, man, and you start deploying down range, and these all I care about is you trying to kill me or not. I don't even care if you're like Swedish Air Force, man. You're not trying to kill me. You're on my team. Good, I love you. You stop. You stop the sibling rivalry pretty quick,
Yeah, you get over it pretty quick, and all our Marines love each other regardless of where they went to boot camp here in Las Vegas. Yeah, that bond is really strong. But you were in Afghanistan, so like I was at Kandahar for 3 days, giving a briefing to the CJ3 there on some topics, and I really got to see and then when I was in Iraq a couple of years later, I really got to see what it was like to be in a joint and a coalition environment, how different it is from our lives back at home.
Oh, 100%. And you were in the nice part of Afghanistan down there where it's nice and sunny. I was up in Kabul where it's just, it's the Hindu Kush, man. It's higher than Denver. It's like the air is super thick. But I mean, but that's what you do. You figure out real quick and that's the same way where you're working with locals too, with like the MOI or even, some of the drug lords or the northern, they're on your team or they're not on your team. I mean, you pretty quickly just got to get rid of all the I mean, it comes down to that. Are you trying to help me or hurt me?
Yeah.
It's really a binary choice. If these guys are helping me, and right now they might be helping me this week, I have to understand that they might be trying to hurt me next week.
We saw
But
the same thing in Iraq.
yeah, so I mean, so right now you're trying to help me, then you're helping me advance my mission and my target. If you ever watch that movie, The Pirates of the Caribbean, with like Jack Sparrow, right? So he's all about, they're like, grow every man for themselves, but it's alignment, right? And so there's a lot of mental toughness and resilience quotes that he says, like, the problem's not the problem, it's your attitude towards the problem, those kind of things. And you're looking for alignment, and you can't. I'll say this was the Ronald Reagan quote: "Trust but verify." Right? I'm not gonna. I trust you, but I need to verify. And I trust you with my life today, but I know tomorrow you might be knifing me. Right? So I think that it's all missions, and people say that's kind of a jaded way to live, but it's really, that's also being a critical thinker, not an emotional thinker. I would, loyalty. I always say loyalty lasts till 5 o'clock. When the wife comes home. So right, I'm not loyal to you anymore. I have to be loyal to the wife. I'm married. So that's the kind of mindset that you have to have, I think, in those situations. It helps you in business too.
Absolutely. So tell us about the book. How did it come about for you to write the book, and what makes it different from other approaches to resilience?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. So this is like my third resilience or mental toughness book. The first one was our corporate one, Ground Zero Leadership. And then I wrote a 7 Secrets of Resilience for Parents. And that went to #1 on Amazon, and I was all over Fox News and everything. Well, I guess that got me on somebody's radar, because the chaplain of the Marine Corps called me shortly after that, said, "Hey, look, the Commandant tasked us, the PTSD rates and the suicide rates, nothing that we're doing is moving the needle. Not any of the therapy, the counseling, the drugs, nothing is moving the needle. Is there anything you could do to help with maybe the spiritual fitness of the warfighter?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. That's what we do." So Inner Armor was created from that. And then we went to work, and, I was an enlisted Marine, but I'm good friends with, there was people that were in the general staff. That was my platoon commander at Desert Storm. My company commander's retired lieutenant colonel, battalion commander. So we look, and then sergeant majors, and all the way up and down the chain. How do I do this and take this system of mental toughness, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence, and package it in a way for the 18 to 35-year-old that doesn't have time to sit in a class for an hour or 8 hours and then forget about it because the next mission's go. We have to build it like it's PT, right? So I made it like a workout of the day, and understand that neurological learning, the Habian learning, right? The neurons that fire together, wire together. I'm going to create these habit stacks, right? These habits where, while I'm doing PT, what can I do mentally to change, what my emotional response is, and make myself emotionally sovereign, or have domain over my emotions. And so we started putting this thing together. And back then it was like before AI and before like ChatGPT, and it's an app. I'd have to do like a 2-minute video, mental toughness minute of the day or whatever, right? Then there's some 3 critical thinking questions, and they would be on this app, and they would go through it. It was very effective though, because I'm doing this in like 3 to 5 minutes. So, and after the COVID went through all this run of stuff and everything, and I'm like, I really need to get this out to corporate, but I don't, the app is like, I mean, it's very expensive to develop an app and all that stuff. So I was like, let me get it in a book. So I wrote it in the book, and there's, it's all in this workout of the day format. And we got the book out, and now I tell you, I'm coming back to the app because the technology's there. It's so cheap now. We're almost done with it, and it's a better app. It's not clunky. It's almost like it is an AI clone of me, and all of my content has all the books in there. It has all the coaching content. It has, I think we put 46 gigabytes of hundreds of hours of the radio show, a coaching show, and notes and studies, and it's all based on my curriculum. And so it'll never drift from that. But you could go in there and do your workout. It'll give you the workout of the day. It'll give you what we call a combat medic drill, right? Because what's a combat medic? I gotta patch you up and either get you back in the fight or get you off the line. And so how do we do that? We have to do it to our self-aid, right? So we go through this drill where you take the app, man. I'm melting down, let's just say, in traffic. What do I do? And it'll give you like the 3 steps, what we call an execution formula. Like, do this, take a breath, let's notice what we're at, and then we're going to, who am I? How am I going to respond to this? And we move on. So that's what we did. And it's super effective, because if you brush your teeth, Jason, let's just say you brush your teeth twice a day, which you should, for 2 minutes a day. That's 4 minutes. What do you do during your brushing your teeth? Are you zoning out? What do you think? Right. So we're going to think about our identity statement. We're going to think about what we call the 2-minute drill. You're up something that triggers you, and you just can't get a victory over it. You're not, you're just not winning. Whatever it is, it could be, your email inbox, traffic. It could be, the deal you can't close. So I'm going to be thinking about how would I do it? So this is like, okay, it's impossible to get this done, but if I could do it, how would I do it? Or how would I handle this with poise? How would I respond if it was somebody that I'd be proud of being, of responding, like, hey, that was pretty cool, right? So these are the things that we teach in that book, and that's why I wrote it, so that we could get it on the fly. We're not really changing anything that you do in your life. I'm just pointing it in the right direction. Everybody brushes your teeth. You're taking a shower. You're already doing habits every day, which, I'm just going to stack it with good stuff with a resilience so that I have emotional sovereignty. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. And it sounds like it's working great for folks. Like, we had the benefit of military experience and all that kind of training.
Yeah.
So like, this is something we can embrace really easily, but it sounds like the civilian world, this is actually working out great for them as well. And I don't want to give away too much about what's in the book or the apps or anything, because I want people to go get them. But what is the 2-minute rule? Why does it work?
Yeah.
And how can we all start to apply it in our lives?
So the 2-minute rule is like, this is a game changer. And I mean, really, if you don't take anything else from what Jason and I say today, take this, right? So what we know is the way the brain works, it's the original search engine. The brain has to answer a question. Now, the answer doesn't have to come out of your mouth, but it will search for the answer. Like, let's just do an experiment, right? Like, don't think of the answer, Jason. What's 2 + 2? What city are you in? Right? So stop, right? Your brain's going to, so if you ask a bad question, your brain's going to come up with a bad answer. So I want to ask not just a good question, I want to ask a better question. I want to point my brain in a direction that helps me instead of hurts me. So when you come up against that voice of resistance on the inside that says, you can't do this, that's impossible, this is crazy talk, or I call it the Americans, we can't do this, we can't do that, I can't get it done. When you hear that voice, just for 2 minutes, just play along fantasy for 2 minutes. Suspend your disbelief. Suspend that voice. Be like, hey, look, I'm not disagreeing with you. Just hang on just for 2 minutes. And then I'm going to ask myself, if it were possible to do this, how would I do it? And what that does is give your brain permission to go search for another answer. And so if you could just stop, voice of resistance, 2 minutes, hang on. If I could do it, how would I do it? If it were possible, how would I do it? And then let your brain self-populate some of those solutions.
I love it. I love anything that helps us break a pattern we've worn ourselves into over years and years. And you mentioned critical thinking a couple of times already, and critical thinking is one of my favorite topics. I think it's really key for young leaders to learn and apply, and we don't always do a great job teaching it. How do you use what you learned over your career doing incredible things to help people apply good critical thinking in their decision making?
Absolutely. So I started thinking of my thinking like a physical skill. So I'm like, it's a jungle up here. I don't have a process. I'm making, sometimes it's emotional decisions. Sometimes, occasionally I'd back into a good one. Sometimes I just, right. But it's a jungle up here. I don't have so I started thinking about, in the military, we use marksmanship, right? So there's steps to marksmanship: body alignment, sight alignment, sight picture, trigger control, all these things. So there was a process to firing around and getting it on target. And then for corporate, I use the golf swing. There's a process to swinging a golf club, grip and stance and, position of the hips and the way the club, and then how you swing through process. So I started thinking of my thinking like that. I needed a step-by-step process to order all my thoughts. If I could do it like I'm drawing my weapon, or I did it like I'm swinging a golf club, I'm doing it like I'm driving a car, then I can train myself to be a critical thinker by default. So that was the first thing. I had to start looking at thinking as a physical skill. Once you did that, now I just got to break down what are the process, what are the thoughts I need to think. So the Socratic method, right, where critical thinking comes from, Socrates, right, Socrates for the Bill and Ted, guys, Socrates. So anyway, Socrates, again, showing my age, but anyway, 9 steps in that process. Like, I'm like, 9 steps that'll get me killed in a firefight. I don't have time for 9 steps, right? So I looked at it and I took the 4 that would get me closest, and really it's 2 2-step processes. I do 2 2-steps. It's like the country line dance or whatever, right? So I call it CRAP, thinking like crap, CRAP, so that way you can't forget it. So it's clarity, relevance, accuracy, and precision. So every thought goes through this filter. Clarity, what's my target? Not what I don't want, but what is it that I do want? Because a lot of people, they can tell you what they don't want, but they can't clearly identify what their target is, right? So then the next thing is relevance. Is this relevant to me hitting my target? So take the golfer, for example, right? The target is the hole. I'm trying to hit the hole. Are the sand traps and the water obstacles relevant?
No, you're not. You're not going for that, right?
Correct. But so because if you think, well, don't hit it in the water, where's the ball going, Jason? Kabloosh, right? So what we want to do is take everything off the board that's not relevant to my target. And this is key. If you don't know clearly what your target is, you don't know what the sand traps are to remove them from your purview, right? So those 2 steps right there will change your life immensely. And that's the first 2 steps of critical thinking. What's my target? Get clear about it. And then anything that's not helping me hit my target, I get it off the board. Right. So, and then the next thing is accuracy, truth and fact. This is from my law enforcement days where I realized that truth and fact are not the same thing. It's 2 separate things. In the court, evidence that was submitted was actually facts. They were neutral. A fact has no opinion. It has no perception. It is what it is. But truth, what the witnesses swear to tell, it's all over the board. 2 eyewitnesses could be like, that guy was wearing a green sweater. And the other one says it's wearing a brown sweater. And both of them are telling the truth, but it's not factual. So a critical thinker sees what truths are and then moves them to the fact column, right? So, and like for example, like I'm in Tampa and you're in Vegas. It's probably both like 100 degrees, but my humidity is probably like 110 and yours is like 40, right? So I'm in a sweat pit. That's right. But that's my truth, or your truth would be you're in a sweat pit. When I got out there, my elbows would be cracking, right? Because it would be so dry. I'd be like, how do you guys stay out there? I put olive oil all over myself and I'm cracking by noon, right? So these are my truths, your truth. The fact is 40% humidity, 100% humidity, right? Those are facts, but how we view them is our truth. And then precision is the last thing. I want to get very precise and very specific. Then can this fact be more exact? Because vagueness, anything vague, that's a disaster waiting to happen. Like, I need this ASAP. I don't even know what that means, right? I mean, I need it by, like today, we were on this, we're doing we agreed to meet up at a certain time. You're on, what are you on? Are you on Mountain Time? Or are you on Pacific Time? I don't even know what time you're on. But
we're West Coast time here.
You're on West Coast time. I'm on East Coast time. Fortunately, Calendly did that for me, or whatever our calendar is. But if we didn't do that, we would be, I'm meeting up at 9 o'clock. Well, your 9 o'clock is different than my 9 o'clock, right? So precision. And so you get those 4 steps down and thinking your thoughts, and you have to train it. You can't, just because I taught it to you. I mean, I just taught it to you. It means nothing. It's like going through a driver's ed course. That doesn't mean your kid went through a 4-hour driver's ed course. You don't give them the license. They got to go drive the car and learn how to drive it, right? So it's the same thing. You have to train to drive the car. You have to train to think critically. You cannot teach thinking critically. You have to train it. Does that make sense what I'm saying? It's 2 different things.
It absolutely makes sense, and I want to pull that thread a little further because you have to train it, you have to practice it, you have to do those reps, right?
Yep.
And one of the big criticisms that people have about critical thinking and critical thinking models is they think that it takes a long time to work through them. You and I know from our experience that you can move through these models pretty quickly, but only if you have practiced, only if you've trained on them, only if you've done the reps, right?
Right, 100%. Like
go ahead.
No, I would agree with that because that's what it's all about, the reps. Think about it. I always use like driving a car. Like when my teenagers were learning to drive the car, everything was herky jerky. I have to check the mirror 5 times. Does that take a long time? Sure. But now, like after 6 weeks, they're like playing with the radio, check the mirror 1 time and they're gone, right? Because you've trained it and that's what training is. It's these Hebbian loops are. It's a neurological superhighway. And the more you do it, the faster and more efficient. The brain is it's a genius machine because it'll make you more efficient and quicker at that same loop you keep running. Which is why if you scream in traffic and you're cussing and swearing because someone cut you off, every time that you repeat that rep, you're getting more efficient and faster at it. So like pretty soon you can't stop. Like you're insane in traffic because that's what you've practiced, right? So we just want to do the same thing you're already doing. We're just going to point it in the right direction.
Absolutely. Do your reps. Do your reps for the good things. Gotcha. So to this point, we haven't talked about that you are actually Dr. Andrew Wittman. Yeah. So tell us about what prompted you to get a doctorate, because that's not easy to do. Yeah. And then how you use what you learned from that to help other people with their resilience.
Absolutely. So first off, my kids would be like, he's not that kind of doctor, right? So
that's right, the fake kind.
Yeah. So my PhD is actually in theology. theological studies, and my master's of divinity was a lot of psychology and counseling and stuff like that. So I put the psychology as study of the soul, theology as study of God. The reason I did it, my mom and dad were missionaries, right? I was number 5 out of 6 kids, and I was the one supposed to go in the ministry. Fat kid. I was supposed to go to Bible college when I got back. I'm like, I'm just going to be a fat preacher the rest of my life if I don't get control of this, right? I can't do it. So that's why I went in the Marine Corps, and that I did go to Bible college after I got out of the Corps. And then I decided, I still can't get, the quote ministry thing or getting in the pulpit on something. It just wasn't my bag. I was still missing I don't say I'm an adrenaline junkie, but I did miss the action. That's why I became a street cop. I missed the brotherhood of being and the regimented lifestyle. So I went into law enforcement. We did that. While I went along through doing that, I did get, I want to finish because my dad he had his doctorate. He was a, PhD, and he was my Greek mentor. He was a master's in Greek, the Koine Greek. So he would teach that to me. I'm like, I do want to finish it. And so I did. I wanted him to be kind of proud of me, and I always want to finish what we started. So I did finish it. But I'll tell you, I always make fun of my PhD kind of because I'll be in like the FDA or the CDC, and there's guys with PhDs in like biochemistry and 2 PhDs in neurological science, and they're like, like my PhD's not real. I'm like, yes, but I protected Sir Elton John, so we're going to listen to what I say. You guys just what? But here's the thing with PhD: it's not a science, but it teaches you how to research and learn. And so that's why I dug into all this neuroscience and stuff. And maybe my PhD, and everybody's PhD is very specific to whatever their research, but it teaches you how to research and how to teach yourself. Right. So that's really what it is. And to do that process so that you could literally, in this day and age, you don't have any excuse, because with all the search engines and the LLMs and the chat bots and everything, you could find. I mean, I used to have to go to like a college library, and take a pocket full of dimes, remember? And you have to like go to the microfiche machine and pay 10 cents to print out a microfiche. Like, you don't have to do that anymore. So, but that with the PhD thing is really just teaches you how to research. Man, that's a question no one's ever asked me before, Jason. So that's pretty awesome, man. You're digging deep.
Yeah, well, I do not have a PhD. My first assignment in the Air Force was working with a bunch of PhDs in aerospace engineering and physics and that kind of stuff. And
yeah, they got the real ones.
Well, regardless of what your PhD is in, and I really like to emphasize this,
yeah.
It is a ton of work, and it is a real life. It's a commitment in your life to getting a PhD. You had to learn ancient Greek, it sounds like.
Yes, Koine Greek.
That is a pretty big commitment for any of us, right? So I do like to give the credit where the credit's due. It's not a decision people take lightly, and there's a ton of work to follow through on that. So
yeah, and it took me forever, dude. I didn't get it till 2010, and I'm like old. You know what I mean? Like, I was born in '67, so I can't even do the math. But I was over beyond 40. I'll tell you that. It took me a long time.
Yeah. So jokes aside, for the audience, if you don't know, getting a PhD, even though it's not an MD, is a ton of work in a different way than getting an MD is. So I want to take a break from the serious questions. I want to play a game with you. Are you up for a game?
Yeah, man. I'm no fence around me. Let's roll, baby.
All right. The name of this game is Rapid Response. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I want you to respond with the first thing that comes to mind. Doesn't have to be a one-word answer. Elaborate as much or as little as you'd like to. We just want to get to know Dr. Andrew Wittman a little bit more than we can from the business and leadership questions.
Oh,
okay?
Man, I feel like I'm like every answer should just be the same, because it's like one of those Rorschach tests. What do you? Is that a spider? It's a spider. Every answer is a spider.
they're your answers. So
yeah. All right, let's go, Jason. Rock it.
Are you ready?
Yeah, man.
All right, Andrew Wittman, rapid response round. Your time begins now. Podcast recommendation.
Brett Gillian's Circuit of Success.
Okay, that's a new one to me. I'll have to check that one out. A practice you'd like to see more leaders embrace.
Critical thinking.
Agreed. Someone we should all be paying attention to.
Well, you should be paying attention to Jason LeDuc, man, because he's got all the goods.
Well, and I appreciate that. It is the only answer we don't allow on this in this game. So, who else is someone you're paying attention to right now?
Who I'm paying attention to? I'm paying attention to. I'm really paying attention to the crypto market. It's not someone, it's something. I'm paying attention to crypto and AI. Those are the two things I'm paying attention to.
Yeah, I think we all are, and I think there's a ton of opportunity, and I think we're all going to learn a ton along the way with what comes out of the crypto markets. So,
yeah.
All right, don't answer right away.
Okay.
Because you get a choice. What is either your Get Pumped Up song or your walk-on music?
That's going to be it's Shoot to Thrill with AC/DC, man. It could be both of them.
I don't think anyone has picked that one yet. That's a good one.
Dude, we used to play it. So in Afghanistan, we're driving whenever we're outside the wire and we're going to the convoy, I'm cranking that thing up, in the Bearcat, where it's up armored, and I would play that. And you're like, you can't play that. I'm like, well, send me. What are you going to do? Send me home? Okay.
I kind of want to know who told you couldn't play that, because it really is the perfect song to be in an up armored vehicle driving through the middle of a desert.
Right. I'm sure it was somebody from the State Department.
That
is not a gun toter. Yeah, not a gun toter at the State Department.
The biggest influence in your life?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I know that sounds lame, but it's just, the master is the master. And I don't mean that in a weird religion. I mean, this guy, reverse psychology. He healed this, like the cheerleader, the 12-year-old, girl that gets, Jay Iris's house, who's like the mayor of the synagogue or whatever. Everyone in that town is there. CNN's out there. She's already dead. He's like, she's not dead. They all laugh at him. He kicks them out. He raises her from the dead and says, hey, look, don't tell anybody tomorrow. I mean, how's she going to go to cheerleading practice tomorrow? And everyone knows you were dead yesterday. The whole town was out. And tomorrow, don't tell anybody. because he knows you're going to go tell somebody. You know what I mean? So, you could learn, so much. And then, he says stuff like, if you're faithful in little, you're faithful in much. Or if you're going to be diligent in the small things. And here's another business line, right? If you can't be faithful with what we call unrighteous mammon, he called it unrighteous mammon in the King James, right? It means it's money that has sorrow to it, that you had to work for that money really hard. He said that nobody's going to trust you as an employee. It's somebody you had to work hard for. No one's going to trust you with your own wealth. No one's coming to give you, if you're not solving as an employee the owner's problems, there's no way they should promote you and give you more wealth. They just shouldn't. And this is the kind of stuff that that's the influence I'm talking about. I mean, you could say all the, the religious, spiritual stuff, but these are the things that every day that we should be applying. Does that kind of make sense? I know it's kind of a long answer. It's supposed to be rapid fire.
It absolutely makes sense, because you're not the first person to make that your choice for the biggest influence in your life, but that is the most interesting take I have ever heard on answering that question that way. And the best part about all of it is what you just told us about, you had to learn all of that in ancient Greek.
That's maybe why I know, right? And here's an interesting thing. This is not rapid, but what I found out, I didn't know this when I was learning it, but I found out years later that as the archaeological digs come, the Koine Greek that the Bible was written in is literally a business language. The only place they've ever found it is on contracts and invoices for business. So when you're reading your Bible, think about that. Paul was writing and John and Peter, they're writing in an international business language and it's the language of business owners. It's the language of people that are doing commerce. So that kind of knocks the religious stuff kind of on its head a little bit. But just think about that. I mean, it's like English is now. I could go, you could go anywhere in the world. If somebody's doing to do business with you, they're going to speak what I call international English. It's not American slang, but it's English. I think that's what the Greek was. That's what the Bible, the New Testament, was written in. It's very interesting to me that that's what it was.
That's fascinating, because I knew it was Greek. I knew it was ancient Greek. I didn't realize it was this lingua franca business language that the ancient world was using.
Super cool, man. I mean, it changes, and you're like, oh, okay. So when here's just an example. In the New Testament, that righteousness, that word righteousness, no one even knows it literally means equity. So think about that. It said Abraham believed God, and God accredited to him for righteousness, for equity. So God is giving Abraham in his account, that's an accounting term, he accredited to his account equity. He put equity. It's like you own 100% of your house. God just filled okay, here, I'll pay your house off for you. You believe me, I give you equity. That's an amazing thing for that just, it puts all that stuff on its, it kind of turns it all on its head, the conventional quote wisdom. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is fascinating. What is a book everyone should read?
So I'm going to pitch myself here, but my last book that I just put out is called Back to Basics: Good and Evil. You should read that book. It'll change. It does mix the theology, but it mixes, like I've just given you a taste of it, but it mixes the mental toughness and the resilience with it, and it goes back to the beginning. And this is Hebrew now, not the Greek, but the Hebrew words of good and evil out of like the garden, you know, when Eve ate the fruit, the knowledge of tree of good and evil. It breaks down. There's 15 components of good and 15 components of evil. They're not what you think they are. And when you understand that, then everything else comes alive in your life, that you could spot evil a million miles away. Like the first word on the evil list is adversity. Think about this, before there was any, you know, the curse of the fall or the sin, or there was no adversity. Adam didn't know adversity. It said there was gold laying on the ground. I mean, there's no weeds, there's no thorns, imagine doing work in nature, but nature's cooperating with you instead of like competing with you. You don't have to do strip mining. You don't have to try and do fracking to get the oil. There's like, here you go, you want the oil? Here, like, so that evil is adversity, and it's affliction, and it's calamity, and it's fear. And good is beauty, bounty, better, and the best, and happy, welfare, and cheerful. And glad. You should read that book. It'll change how you look at and you'll be able to see that's bad, that's evil, that's good, that's evil, that's good. And then you'll be able to see in your life, you'll pick good, not evil. And there's so many people, we look at the world and we get in this complaining loop, again, back to the neurological, you know, loops of we're complaining, or we only can see the bad things happening, the evil things. Worry is on the evil list. Worry and anxiety and fear is right in the evil list. And how do I change from that? How do I pivot off that and then change what I'm looking at so I can see all the good in my life? You know, and we hear all this stuff about doing your gratitude journal and all that, but this gets to the root cause of it. So I would say get that book, man.
I agree. I can't wait to read it. I didn't even know that was one of your books, but I'm excited about that, and I think everyone should go check it out. Best summertime activity in Tampa.
It is not surfing because there's no waves. So my best summertime activity for me is to go in my saltwater pool out the back of my deck, you know, and then get in the hot saltwater hot tub at night when the sun goes down, and then get back into the pool. And I have this, you know, it's in cage, it's a lanai, so there's no bug. I have people like, there's bugs. I'm like, there's no bugs in Florida. What are you talking about? And my cage is also 85% UV, so you can't get sunburned under the cage. You can lay out all day and not get sunburned. You don't have to put sunscreen on. I mean, that's my favorite. I mean, I can just, that's, you know, all the time.
Well, it doesn't sound like you need to go anywhere else, but what is your dream vacation spot?
Yeah, you know, my wife and I, we met in Hawaii, and we got married in Hawaii, and we spent the first, 6 months of our married life in Hawaii. And I've only been back one time when I was on Nancy's detail. It was a Codell for Senator Inouye died, and we flew back for the funeral. I was only on the ground for, an hour and a half. But we got there, we did the funeral, we left. I'd like to take her and just go back to Hawaii and you know, maybe spend 10 days, you know, going back to Turtle Bay Hilton. And, you know, the honeymoon mansion we had was right next door to the Magna PI mansion. It was where they were filming it. And one of the people that knew us, they were like, cleaned that house, and they were like, it's vacant for 2 weeks. Do you guys want it? We talked to the owner. We're like, yeah. So our honeymoon was for 2 weeks. We were in this house next to Magnum's mansion while they were filming. It was pretty cool.
That might be the coolest thing that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, that Ferrari was like, it was like candy apple. I mean, just sharp. I mean, everything was cool about that show. And I happened to be, I was stationed there in the Marine Corps at the time. It was like big. So, and the Marine Corps base is not that far from where they were filming it. Actually, it's up there on that, you know, the Kaneohe Bay side, you know. So, Kailua.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. Besides crypto, what is a trend you're excited about?
I'm excited about AI, which is also kind of like, crypto is like the economic side of it, but AI, I'm excited about everything that it could do for us. And I'm more of a Star Trek guy, not a Terminator guy, right? You know, I'm not a doom and gloomer. I'm not on the evil list of good. If you're using it right, and I use it all the time. I was one of the, as soon as it came out, the first ChatGPT, I started figuring out how do I do prompts, how do I, training myself on it. It's the easiest thing, I'll say the most effective, efficient, and return on investment employee I got. It's like $200 a month for the ChatGPT. It does everything I need it to do and then some. You have to watch it though. You cannot shortcut, right? People think like if you're using it as a shortcut, you're going to get dumber. There's studies out, you get cognitively dumber if but you also get 4 times more the neuron connectors if you're cognitively engaged. So on my PhD, let's talk about that. I love source material. I love getting to the source. ChatGPT will give me 4 times the sources in like 5 seconds that I could go read all these studies on. If you're lazy and you just take ChatGPT's word for it, it's not going to be good for you, right? Then we're on the Terminator track. But I think there's enough of us that want more in life that we could use AI to be a force multiplier for our cognitive engagement.
Absolutely, I'm with you on this. I think AI is gonna do great things to help humans be more human and let humans do more of what humans are good at. You really do have to check those references though that ChatGPT gives you. Every so often, I find one that is just completely made up, and I appreciate it, ChatGPT. I appreciate you trying to support me in what I'm doing and encourage me. But please just give me real references.
Yeah, I yell at it like a kid sometimes. Like one day I was just checking. I'm like, all right, how many books does Andrew Wittman, PhD, have? They're like 4. I'm like, nope, 7. You lie. You don't even know me. I can't trust you on anything. So always check it with something that's simple so that you could verify, and then you always have to check everything. It's like a little kid. It drifts.
I have found you really need to treat it like an entry-level employee sometimes and say, what you did was good, but to be great, I really need you to do this. I need you to not make up things for me, right? I need you to be very clear. This is what you found and where you found it. It's okay to say no to me.
Yes, I mean, and once you got to set up those really tough parameters and kind of train it. So now I'm whatever, like a year into it or 2 years into it, and it knows it, like, hey, Andrew doesn't like drift, and he doesn't want any fluff or any hype. If you don't give him any empirical data or hard science, he's going to be mad, so.
Yep. All right, last one. Favorite sports team or player?
My favorite player is Tom Brady. I mean, when he retired, I stopped watching football. My favorite team was Alabama football until Nick Saban retired. Now I don't watch that anymore. I just like after, you've had I learned how to surf in Hawaii, and I was surfing on the North Shore. I didn't know anything about it, and these locals took me. When I moved out of Hawaii, I'm like, I never surfed again because it's not going to be I'm the East Coast. I can't even get on a board. I can't even look at that slop, So I kind of feel like the same way after Tom Brady and Nick Saban. I'm like, we've already peaked, man. I can't look at. So I don't really get into it at all anymore. I'm kind of out of it. Those 2 guys were just amazing. Not just generational. I think that they are multi-generational North Stars, if you will. And I just enjoyed every minute of watching both of them compete.
Yeah, I agree. I grew up in Connecticut, grew up as a New England fan. So Tom Brady coming along when he did, Team of Destiny, all that kind of stuff. It was really, really exciting for us. And then just to watch him, he's fascinating to me as an athlete and a leader of adapting and overcoming and really working hard to not really mitigate the impacts of age, but to just stay optimized as much as he could as he grew older, and then to use his mental game to augment where he's starting to lose a step physically, and he's out here as partial owner of the Raiders now in Las Vegas, so he's bringing all of that to the Raiders here.
I love it.
And then Nick Saban, the funny thing about that is my last Air Force assignment was at Maxwell Air Force in Alabama. And I don't know if you've ever lived in Alabama, but when you move to Alabama, they make you pick. You have
one or the other, man. War Eagle or Roll Tide, baby.
Auburn or Alabama. Roll Tide or War Eagle. And they make you pick.
You do.
They give you like a week and they go, you have to choose right now. So I chose Roll Tide.
Good job. I don't know why you need a week. I don't need 5 seconds, man. That's easy.
Well, I grew up in New England, and I didn't go to a college where football was really big.
Yeah.
So SEC football was kind of a new experience for me moving into the South.
Well,
so, I mean, I knew about SEC football and all that, but living what people live in the South with SEC football was new to me. So
cannot be explained, only experienced.
Agreed. And that was the peak. This was 2012 to 2015, peak Saban. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had the local channel that did the Sunday night recap show of for University of Alabama football. Like, it wasn't called Roll Tide. It wasn't called Alabama football. It was called Saban Show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
the Nick Saban Show. Yeah.
So
good. He's so
right,
good. I mean, I studied him and Tom Brady like a scientist. Like Brady was picked last in the draft. He's like not a talented guy, but a grinder. So he's aspirational, somebody that I could be like, right? I can't be like, Aaron Rodgers, who never really worked a day in his life. He just was out there doing the natural talent. What I love about Brady's a grinder, and I'm a grinder. And Saban, just the mindset and the excellence that, he'd be like mad because they won the national championship, but they're 3 weeks behind on recruiting for next year.
Yeah.
I just love it, dude. I mean, that's how you win 8, 9 or whatever, national championships, because you do that.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about right at the top of the episode here, right? It's about process, right? Nick Saban, Tom Brady are process guys.
100%.
I eat my breakfast. I eat the breakfast I'm supposed to eat every morning. I do the workout I'm supposed to do every morning. I do the lunch I'm supposed to do every lunchtime. I do my afternoon workout, right? Saban's the same way. I do this with the coaches every morning. I do this with the staff every morning. I do this with the players boom, boom, boom.
You forgot the 2 little Debbie cakes.
Yeah.
2 oatmeal pie Debbie cakes every morning.
And if the process isn't getting us the results we want, we don't blame the results. We adjust the process to
correct.
Get the results we want. They're process guys.
100. I'm a process guy too. I tell it all my people. Stop looking at the scoreboard, man. If we need to adjust the process, we will. But do the process. And once you find out, this is what champions do. You find something that works, and you just do more of it. Pull-ups make me fitter. I'm going to do more pull-ups. It's that simple. It really is.
Can't argue with that. Well, thanks for playing our game. It's always fun to get to know our guests in a way that I think some of the other questions don't let us find out.
That was so fun, Jason. No one's ever asked me those. I got to tell you. So I'm joking about but that as an interviewer, that's just like good. That's gold, man. I mean, I do a bunch of these podcasts. Like, that's the first time you were asking questions like on a series of them that no one's ever asked me. So hats off to you for being a great interviewer, man.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. We'll have you back. We'll ask you some different ones next time.
I'm scared now, man. I can't even prepare for this.
That's what we try to do. Is we try to throw you off balance a little bit in the middle, so that we have something exciting in the middle, and then we get real authentic in the second half, right?
Yeah, it's so good fun, man. Good fun.
So to get back to being authentic, you mentioned you've led the protective details for some really high-profile names: Nancy Pelosi, Joe Lieberman, Sir Elton John. I mean, real big powerhouse people at the top of their game in their fields. What were some of the lessons you learned about leadership from observing these people at the top of their fields?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I've said this before to other people too, that even the beauty is, like, you're in the room, you're behind the curtain when the press isn't in there, the elevator door shut, or after they've had 2 glasses of wine, so you know what they really think, right? And that's and that education was more valuable than my PhD. Because think about this, they're my political mentors. All of them, whether you ideologically like them or not like them, and I just took, that's not relevant. It's a sand trap to me. I didn't care about whatever their politics were or whatever. I'm looking at them at what can I learn from their success, right? So, and that's what you just look at. These are the people at the top of their field. What did they do to get there? So you start to look at those things, like the processes that they put in place. And you can, when you're reading my stuff, you're going to see it's all woven in there. It's all part of, what I do. And it's been refined. And I really, when I was writing the original mental toughness curriculum for the State Department for SEALs, Marines, Rangers, and SF guys, I was just coming off of that, 6 years of being an agent, right? So I had my 6 years in the Marine Corps time, I had my law enforcement time, and then I had my, street time, and then my time as an agent. And it really all and I just finished my PhD. It all came together. So I put this curriculum together, and it's all in there. Like the social cylinder, I have 8 cylinders. The social cylinder, harmonious relationships, right? When I first got married, my target was kind of be right? I'm 22 or 24 years old, and I want to be right. So, well, you wouldn't stay married, right, very long. So you have to change your target to be, I want to have a good relationship. and these are the things that you learn. Like, so like people call it compromise. It's not really compromise. It's getting clear on your target. What do you want more? Do you want to be right? Do you care about your reputation? I mean, people say some awful things about Nancy and Hillary, and even they say and they have their lovers and they have their haters, but that's got to be stuff that's not relevant. Those are all sand traps. Like, so I got to think of what is my target and get clear on this thing. What is it that I'm trying to accomplish here? And then what's the cost of that? And if the return on investment is, okay, there's the cost of whatever, reputation, or, how people view me, or what, and that's an important thing. I don't think people really get that. I think people care about what the neighbors think about them more, or the PTA moms. So what was that, Harper Valley PTA? Right? I think I Dream of Jeannie was in it. Right? I'm showing my age, but like that can't be, like, if you're worrying about what other people think all the time, you're never going to get, like, here's an example. People will not do crypto because like, that's not real, but the train has left the station. It's bypassing you. And like 10 years from now, when crypto's at like some crazy number and you could buy a house with one coin, you're going to be looking back and be like, well, I don't understand why I did, but right now you're making fun of people who do crypto, right? So this is the kind, because, I wouldn't do that. So I think a lot of those things is like, you can't care what people think about you, and you'll get to the top.
Well, I got news for some people who are watching who may be saying crypto's not real. Guys, money's not real.
Money's faker than crypto, man. I mean, literally, they're just making it up out of thin air. At least with the crypto, I'll just look at Bitcoin. It's a finite amount, and it's going to be what it is.
Right. It's all about the trust and the confidence you have in it, whether that's correct. US dollars, whether that's gold, whether it's crypto. And now you can start to ask yourself a question. Okay, do I trust this or not? And now you can start to have a real discussion with yourself about
right.
What is it about this that I do or don't trust? What gives me confidence or doesn't give me confidence in this as a currency or an asset?
And my son and I were talking about it, because he's like, he runs so we bought the pharmaceutical company when the kids were like in their 20s, got it right out of college. They bought this pharmaceutical manufacturing firm. It was $8 million in debt. They turned it profitable, and after 3.5 years, they sold it. So now he's running the family office, the family assets, the crypto one, and we're talking about it. And the thing is that when we were in the pharmaceutical business, we're making over the counter drugs, liquids and solids, and it's a very good. But everything in the Wittman management realm, the family, all of our family's assets, everybody's, and our future was at risk every single day. It's all at risk. We're in the crypto market, and like, you're risking like a couple $1,000s here or there, and there's like minimal risk. There's like nothing but upside. Like, so you have to literally, if you want to, whether I trust it or I don't trust it, I'm literally taking, it's less risk than it is to fly an airplane out to Vegas to see you. That would cost me more, and I'm risking more for what return than I would put into the crypto market and then see a massive return, right? So I think that's a good conversation. It's not even about trust. I think it's about risk, whether it's good. We're not playing like roulette. You know what I mean? Or if you're going to play roulette and you're looking at crypto like that, then you put, one on black and one on red and see how that goes. You know what I mean? Like, you're not risking your entire, we were in actual business manufacturing, everything our entire future was at risk every single day. Every asset, every dime that we had, it was all at risk. When you're in the crypto market, it's only whatever you put in is at risk. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I did want to ask you about the pharmaceutical company, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs and startup founders who watch this podcast. Yeah. And you and your family did this as a family business, and you had a successful exit, which many founders and many business owners don't have. I think a lot of our audience would love to know, what were the principles you put in play in managing that business to get to a successful exit?
Yeah. So again, it's processes, right? So what we did, we came in and it was it's a dumpster fire and it's underwater, and we didn't know it was, we wouldn't have bought it if we knew it was in the debt that it was in. We knew it was in not great shape, because of course, why would you be selling it? But it was like a lot of it was hidden. But what we did is we came in and it's great, because the two guys, they're Citadel grads. They're both, one's a mechanical engineer, one's construction engineer, they're brothers. And I coach CEOs, right? I'm a mental toughness coach. I coach Fortune 500 CEOs. So I just said, all right, for the next couple of years, I'm not going to coach anybody. I'm not going to do any speaking. I'm just going to coach you two. One was CEO and the other COO. And so we just went in there and started putting processes. They started that's when I learned that, hey man, between the military education and the engineering education, that STEM degree that they got, the Citadel engineering degree, I'm like, it was worth every dime and then some, because these guys could come in and like reverse engineer a problem, then fix the problem. They put processes, I mean, stuff that they're not chemists. They were fixing formulations. They were fixing, you know, regulatory things. They're fixing SOPs. They're fixing quality things. They're fixing manufacturing. I was like, 22 years old. This kid's running. I have one kid is running the entire production line in the schedule. He's running everything. Like, you would never put that. I mean, and it's a multi-million-dollar corporation. He's running 2 production lines, one for liquids and one for solids. And it's like, and we're using like Sudafed and codeine too. So it's like the DEA is involved, the FDA is involved, and they changed the processes. So I mean, once you get the processes in place, you want to get it to where you don't have to be babysitting it anymore. And when you get that, what we did is we sold the process. When we turned this thing into a Ferrari, and then when we sold it, I'm selling a Ferrari. So think about it as an entrepreneur. You buy the old Corvette or whatever, Chevelle SS Super Sport, it's junk. You restore the car and then you sell it for a profit. It's the same. You have to look at your business the same way. I'm going to fix the transmission. I'm going to fix the engine. I'm going to fix the brakes. I'm going to fix all these systems and processes and put them in place that I can sell it. Don't get emotionally attached to this stuff, man. It's just a vehicle to make generational wealth for your family.
I love it. And I love that as a result of that experience and the exit, you have a family office now that your son is running. I'm curious, what kinds of investments are you guys bullish on in your family office?
Well, I mean, we're totally into crypto. I'll tell you that, because I'm looking at the fiat cash. And I'm looking at the chaos geopolitically. I'm looking at the $37 trillion debt bomb that's about to go off. The treasuries are out, and we have a 300-year plan, right? So we're looking at this crypto, and our 300-year plan just had like 150 years shaved off of it. Because if you look at just like Bitcoin, don't look at it as an investment. This is another thing that we don't look as investments, right? In the family office, we do financing. I needed to know the rules of finance. I'm not even, so Bitcoin or Ethereum right now, or whatever one you're looking at, you could do we're not big Ethereum fans. I like, like HBAR, Bitcoin, whatever, but for different reasons. Bitcoin is a thing where it's gold, right? It's the digital gold that's always going to go up, because there's only so much of it. There's less of it than there is of gold. So that's where you get your Bitcoin and you just hold it there. I'd rather put it there than in treasuries or savings account or in a money market account. I'm not investing. It's my savings. I think of it as a CD, right? I'm not investing in Bitcoin. But it's more stable than you're putting it in a CD where dollars, literally, do you think that that's worth anything? In 1970, my dollar was worth like 633% more than it is today. Like it's the only place you could kind of hedge against inflation is putting it in one of these. And it used to be Forex, but that Forex is all fiat currencies. You're swapping fiat currencies, right? So then Jack has a strategy where he has an intraday trading strategy where he's on like meme coins or things that pop, right? He'll put in like me, I'm not doing it. He is. He'll put in maybe $1,000 in something and walk away with 30 grand. And it's it's like a 3-hour trade. And you could do that 10 times a day, and then you're making your cash for the, the week or the month or whatever. And you put it back into Bitcoin, you roll that, what you make, and you put it up with the extra and put it. Then he has some midterm things where he's looking at like HBAR or Solana, because Solana is what's used to, and this is just getting in the weeds, but they use Solana to trade the meme coins. So if you want to get on like the fart coin or, the lizard or any of that stuff, you need Sol, because that's a trade in Solana. So Solana is going to go up because they're using it to trade meme coin. And if you're not, he's up like, I don't know, like 300% on what his Sol investment was, just because of how much more meme coin trading is going on. So just get educated. There's tons, and be careful of where you're getting your education though, right? You're not just going to listen to the hype. You have to like get into the weeds, find source material, learn about economics, learn about sociology, learn about the psychology, mass psychology, of how people, like you said, the money's fake, but this is just another form of I think of it as Forex, right? Crypto is really no different than Forex. I'm trading pounds or, back in the day was Deutschmarks or euros or yen, right? But there's different currencies that you could look at and what the like here's one for HBAR. Like we're doing our research on HBAR. It's, I don't know, it's a few cents. HBAR has like the least, it's the fastest transaction blockchain, and it uses the least amount of electricity, the least amount of power. Now, we already know that the electricity is spiking right now. They can't build data centers fast enough. I have another son that he's working on one of the biggest data center projects, like a $10 billion project out in Texas to build a data center. He's a field engineer for that. You're going to have the one that's like, it's almost like that doesn't use a ton of electricity. Like Bitcoin uses a lot of electricity, so there's gas fees on that. But this HBAR is super efficient electrical wise to do, right? So that could be an institutional currency. It's probably not going to be the fancy schmancy Bitcoin, have the public hype of that. But so that's what we're doing, right? And you just kind of get into I don't say get in the weeds, but you got to get in the weeds a little. Just like my PhD, you got to do your research, find some source material, read this stuff, Like watching videos is fine, but I want to read it. I want to see what the white papers are. I want to see what the data is. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and our audience will love this. This won't be too in the weeds for them. They are interested in this stuff. They know about this stuff. I'm interested in it. The lesson is understand the rules, understand the markets, understand who's on the other side of the market, who wants to buy, who wants to sell. Right?
Absolutely.
I'm curious.
Absolutely.
As a family, are you in angel investing into startups at all, or is it mostly focused on the crypto and the finance?
All right, so that's part of the 300-year plan. So part of the 300, I'm just you, me, and your audience. Let's not put it out. But what we're going to do is the goal is to take, which is the Mental Toughness Training Center, which is what I started out this thing as training and consulting and speaking. We're into the crypto. What we're going to do is when we got enough capital, because we're just going to go put up a physical building called the Mental Toughness Training Center here in Tampa, and we're going to bring in. My oldest son had this part of his 300-year plan was to have a school that taught entrepreneurship, right? That taught them critical thinking, that taught them this mental toughness. And at the same, because in school right now, you're just being taught how to be an employee, which is a disaster, as we can see, because that's going away. So we're going to teach them how to trade crypto. We're going to teach them how to, if they want to go into business, how do we, how are we going to stake them? And we'll stake, but they're going to have to go through our process. They're going to be mentored through our school. And whether you graduate, how fast you graduate or how long it takes you to graduate depends on how fast you uptake our critical thinking matrix. How good are you at emotional sovereignty? Because in crypto, you're going to have live reps. We'll start you out. We'll take somebody off the, streets that maybe we see these guys on TikTok or the Twitch streams all the time. They're good. They want to have an opportunity. They're chomping at the bit. They don't have the opportunity. All right, come here. I'm going to start you out with $1,000. We're going to teach you how, and you're going to be in here. I'm going to pay for your food. I'm going to pay for your living. You're going to be in this school, and you're going to start live trading crypto, and we're going to start learning about business and the markets and economy and all those things. And when you graduate, we're going to stake you, and then you're going to go out on your own. And that's going to be, where eventually we're going to just be doing that.
Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to that. I can't wait for you guys to get that off the ground. I might come myself.
Yeah, and so I mean, like I said, it's in the works. We had a 300-year plan. Like I said, the crypto cuts off 150 years of that. I mean, we're super fast. I started the 300-year plan in 2007. We're not even at 20 years yet, so we're ahead of schedule, and we got way ahead of schedule the way the crypto and the AI is, because I didn't even know about that when I wrote the plan, right? So it's funny how much faster these things. Just exponentially, it just sped it up. But it won't be long. I don't think it'll be long, to be honest with you, because we have this great curriculum and training and mentorship kind of thing, the coaching that we have, and we're going to give them a vehicle on how to make the money, and we'll put the two things together. And I'm really excited about the future for whoever those people are that go through the Mental Toughness Training Center.
Yeah, I can't wait. One of the things I like to ask our guests who've had careers like yours, careers like mine, wearing a military uniform, out doing security things out in the world. We learned a lot of amazing lessons from that military, from that security, from that high pressure experience that helps us in business and entrepreneurship. Were there any lessons from that world that you felt like you had to leave behind when you came to business or entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I say this as jokingly, but not really. In the Marine Corps, they keep you angry all the time because you're a war fighter. They want you angry all the time. It's not good for your marriage. It's not good for you being a parent. It's not good for you in business if you're angry all the time. I get it when we're trying to blow stuff up and the enemy's trying to kill me. But, that those games that we talked about where they're playing that stress, they're really trying to keep you agitated all the time in a state of. And so I took all the good things from the warrior culture and I left all the bad things, right? I didn't. Here's another thing. This is a problem in the warrior culture. I have no idea And even the generals don't know. The generals don't know. They can't. I call it the Emerald City. What's your ultimate target? You can't envision anything. The generals be like, I have a $30 billion budget. I'm like, General, you never made a dollar. Like, you manage a $30 budget that someone handed to you. You don't even know how to make a dollar. Nobody in the military knows how to make a dollar. They can only spend what they have. They have no idea how hard it is to create it. So you have to leave that. And security is the same way. You don't even know what it is to make a dollar or make somebody's payroll or, pay for 30 families that are counting on you to pay. You managed a checkbook, dude. Congratulations. I mean, Alice from the Brady Bunch did that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a lot of what I had to learn coming out into entrepreneurship from taking the Air Force uniform off. Is we are very good at certain things, but there's a lot of skills the military doesn't prepare us for, like sales and marketing and even treating expenditures as an investment to try to grow something as opposed to, well, I'm just trying to accomplish a task.
Or I have to spend it all because if we don't use it this year, we're going to lose it next year's budget.
Yeah, that's always a good one. So what's coming up for you for the rest of 2025?
All right, so I told you about the app, right? The Inner Armor Tactical Coach app. That's like an AI clone of me. It's in development. I'm hoping it's going to be out in the next 60 days. We're getting it all ironed out. So there'll be a free tier, and then there'll be a mid tier, which is like $10 a month for. Yeah, so I would put it like this. The free tier is like that'll get you out of traffic through rush hour traffic. It's very tactical. How do I handle my road rage kind of thing, right? The mid tier, you begin to get some of the what's my purpose in life? What's my mission? What's my identity? Who am I, right? And then the final tier, we call it the Elite Warrior tier. It's strategic. I'm building that 300-year plan. I'm building that legacy. I'm seeing far out. So there's something there for everybody. And you can work your way through the tiers, but and I think the top tier is like $24.99 a month, but you get everything, all of my teaching, all my curriculum, and it'll work you through the matrix of how do I create the 300-year plan? How do I have the Emerald City? Where is my legacy? Multi-generational wealth. What am I creating that's beyond me, right? And not everybody wants that. There's a lot of people that just want to not, have road rage. So there's 3 levels to it. And I think that's going to be really, I'm hoping that it helps a lot of people. And it'll help us identify those people that will become the apprentices, if you will, at the Mental Toughness Training Center, the students. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it will help a lot of people. And as you and I both know, when we have young emerging leaders and we help them with that one tactical problem, they start to say to themselves, "Oh, I want to start thinking a little more broadly." And it's great that you've thought through how you're going to do that for them as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like we were talking about, like when you're like a first lieutenant or lance corporal or corporal, you don't think of those big things. You're in it a while. You're like, holy cow! You have some time to look around and see things from the 50,000 foot level. You start having some strategic thoughts, and I think that's where when you grow, that's where you want to go. Is from just like putting out the fire that's in front of you, the 5-meter target, the 10-meter target. I want to look at the whole board.
Well, we'll have to have you back to talk once the app is launched, and we can talk more about that journey from thinking tactically to thinking strategically.
Oh, that'll be good fun, man.
Yeah. So for everyone watching or listening right now, what's one more tip you've got for us that we can start doing today to build our resilience?
All right. So here's the tip of the day, man, right? Just figure out who you are, not what you do, not a title. When everything external is stripped away from you, who are you internally? What are the characteristics that you want to, portray, the characteristics that you want to live, the characteristics that you want to be, and kind of something that you aspire to, and create it in one sentence. I call it the identity statement. Mine's I'm a man of excellence who always keeps his word. And that's decides everything that I do. Andrew's a man of excellence, and he always keeps his word is what he aspires to. And you do that little thing right there, and everything in life becomes very simple. Not easy, but simple.
Yes, we will also talk about the Clausewitzian difference between easy and simple next time you're back on.
That's so good, man.
We love our Clausewitz here on the Leader's Mindset. I know most of our audience doesn't even know who that is, but
it's epic. It is epic.
It is. We're going to blow some people's minds. This has been truly amazing today, and I want to thank you for joining us. Tell everybody where they can find the books and where they can find you so they can thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, so I got a page set up just for us. It's called getwarriortough.com/podcast. My website is getwarrior, like a warrior with a shield, tough, tough.com/podcast. And you could do you could call me, right? You could set up a time. I'll do a 15 or 30 minute call with you. You know, somebody wants to call me and they say, hey, I was on Jason. I heard you on Jason's show. I'll be like, okay, you're on, and I'll talk to you. Or you could get the books. There's an audio book, a Kindle version, and of course a paperback. And then you could find me on all the social medias. I'm at Warrior Tough PhD on the X and on the Instagram and LinkedIn, Facebook. There's no fence around me. You could just Google me and I'm there, man.
And we'll get all those links for everybody and put them in the episode description of the show notes so you don't have to go looking those up. So thank you, Andrew, again for joining us. I want to thank all of you for watching and listening. If you found this conversation valuable, I don't know how you couldn't find this conversation valuable. Go ahead and share it with someone who can use it. Leave us a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you're on a podcast platform where you can give us a review, please give us a 5-star review. It helps build our audience and get the great work and the great advice that guests like Andrew have out to a bigger audience so everyone can use it. We've got lots more amazing leaders coming your way. Go out there, do great things today. Onward and upward.